After Pam Bondi issued a public warning to Jasmine Crockett, hours later, Crockett went on to MSDNC and said this.
Just in case the slow people listening decide to click this up later, I just want to say that I have never promoted violence whatsoever, yet I've also never made excuse for those violent actors such as the ones on January 6th. So Pam Bondi, if you have an issue with terrorism, maybe you should talk to your boss about locking back up those guys that he let out that participated in January 6th.
When Pam Bondi, though, says, tread carefully, what does that even mean?
Yeah. All it means is that she's attempting to get me to say, oh, I'm going to be scared and I'm just not going to say anything, because they are willing to literally break the law. I mean, that's what we've seen them do. They are ignoring court orders. They are ignoring what our own laws are. When we look at things such as impoundment, things like that, this entire administration is rogue.
Now, let's understand something. That warning from Pam Bondi did not come out of nowhere. This came because Crockett had already told her audience to take down Elon Musk and Tesla, right, on her birthday. And now Tesla vehicles are literally being firebombed in the streets still. She calls the protest peaceful, but we've seen the footage. Let's walk through exactly what's really happening here by showing you what Pam Bondi said and also her answer on why people are doing this in the first place.
And people need to know that 3 people in custody right now, they will receive severe and swift consequences, and they are facing up to 20 years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully, because nothing will happen to Elon Musk. And we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's this basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
Okay, so you guys already know how I feel about Pam Bondi. That warning wasn't random. Okay, it is warranted given the mental crisis that's happening on the left. You got people literally getting naked and wiping their body on Tesla. You got them spray painting on Tesla dealerships that trans rights are human rights. I mean, listen, this type of incitement, although they argue is nonviolent, to me is still disgusting, because you're not reading the room at the current moment. And by the way, what's also disgusting is Pam Bondi's response, because it sounded shaky to me. I'm just being honest here. Now, here is Pam Bondi, who is supposed to answer a simple question. Why are people continuing to vandalize these vehicles, and what are you guys doing about it?
What about these vandals on Tesla vehicles and dealerships? Give us the consequences there, and what are you learning once they're arrested? Why are they doing this?
Well, we're looking at so much on this. There have been 3 federal charges so far, and I say so far. We are looking at all of these cases across the country. We have a dedicated task force. These are not isolated incidents, as you know, and these aren't vandals. These are Molotov cocktails. That could be a weapon of mass destruction that they're throwing in Tesla dealerships, that they're lighting these Tesla charging stations on fire that are in residential neighborhoods.
All right, so one side of me says this. It's been over 30 days. The president, FBI, DOJ has labeled this domestic terrorism, and we only have 3 arrests. What are you doing, Attorney General? That's one side of me. The other side says, well, you know what? It's only been 30 days. Maybe they need more time to find these people, track them down, let law enforcement do their thing. I get it. However, I'm all about results. That's the difference between conservatives and progressives at this moment. We want results. It's not just talk. Now, here's a point that Elon Musk made that I think is so profound. Of course, the media won't talk about it. These Tesla takedown organizers. This is also the same organization that Jasmine Crockett was on a Zoom with, calling for them to take Elon Musk down on her birthday. You know what they're doing? They're shorting Tesla stock. Meaning what? They're purposely going to these Tesla dealerships, disrupt operations, protest in an effort to drive down the stock and short it and make money. This is why Elon Musk said this. Many of those doing these takedowns have also sold Tesla stock short, so they benefit financially from a drop in the stock. That's essentially what I just said. And no, it's not illegal to do that. And that leads us to the next story in this video. When you're talking about results, these Democrats are continuing to celebrate the fact that these district court judges are blocking President Trump from doing his job, like deporting violent illegal aliens out of this country. They're also crying about due process as it pertains to these illegal aliens. But were they crying about due process as it pertains to Lincoln Riley? Here's Tom Homan reminding the ABC host Jonathan Karl of that. Take a look.
But how do you, I mean, what we've heard from lawyers representing some of these people is that they deny that they're members of this gang. Or either, you know, Tren de Aragua or MS-13. Do they get a chance to prove that before you take them out of the country and put them into a notorious prison in a country that they're not even from? I mean, do they have any due process at all?
Confident. Look, due process. What was Lincoln Riley's due process? Where were all these young women that were killed and raped by members of TDA? Where was their due process?
Well, the people that did that should be prosecuted.
Alive on a subway. Where's her due process?
Well, sure.
The bottom line is that plane was full of people designated as terrorists. Number one. Number two, every Venezuelan migrant on that flight was a TDA member based on numerous criminal investigations, on intelligence reports, and a lot of work by ICE officers.
So Democrats want you to believe that the entire law enforcement community that handles deportations, they are incompetent. That's what they want you to believe. Like they have not done their research, that they have not verified that these people are affiliated with gang members. I mean, they just think law enforcement woke up that morning and just picked someone up randomly off the street. And I believe it's just a disrespectful attitude towards these men and women who are putting their lives on the line in order to deport these illegal aliens. I don't care if they're violent or not. If you cross the border illegally, you got to go.
Matter of fact, 2 days after that flight took off, I even had a discussion with the acting director of ICE, and he reiterated that every Venezuelan on that plane was a known member of the TDA. So a lot of officers, a lot of criminal investigators, special agents who've done this for decades, looked at the intelligence information, the criminal investigation information, all the various social media and surveillance and government records and public records, and they're confident that they're all members of the TDA. And I'm not surprised that a member of the family saying they're not a member of the TDA.
Now, it's very concerning what's happening here. You got an activist judge blocking President Trump from deporting these TDA gang members. I have new developments to share with you in this video, but before I do, I want you to listen to this warning. Let's be honest, there are growing tensions with China, Canada, and Mexico, which is rattling the markets. That's why Warren Buffett just dumped $133 billion in stocks. And this is why thousands of informed IRA and 401k savers are now shielding their savings with gold. This is why you could trust the experts at Colonial Metals Group to help you do the same. So instead of you worrying about when the market may crash, you should go to freegoldguide.com/Devori or call 1-800-757-5158 so you can get a free gold guide on how to bulletproof your wealth tax-free. Plus, you can see if you qualify for a free home safe or $7,500 worth of free silver. Once again, that is freegoldguide.com/Devori or call 1-800-757-5158 or hit the link in the description below.
You said, I quote, "I don't care what judges think." Now, I know you have since said that the administration will abide by court orders. We heard Donald Trump say the same thing. So what do you mean when you say, "I don't care what judges think"?
I don't care what that judges think as far as this case. We're going to continue to arrest public safety threats and national security threats. We're going to continue to deport them from the United States. I understand this case is in litigation through the Alien Enemies Act, and we'll abide by the court order as litigated. But my quote was, despite what he thinks, we're going to keep targeting the worst of the worst, which we've been doing since day one, and deporting from the United States to the various laws on the books. We're not making this up. The Alien Enemies Act was actually a federal law. It's a statute enacted by Congress and signed by a president. Now, that's under litigation. But put that aside, we still have Title VIII authority to remove illegal aliens from the United States, and we're going to continue to concentrate on those who are the biggest threat to our communities, the public safety threats.
That's exactly what Americans want to hear. A clear, confident, and concise message from our leaders. That's something that Democrats lack, of course. I just want to throw that in. But understand this, ICE will not back down from doing what they have been sent to do, and that is to get the worst of the worst out of this country, no matter what judges or politicians are saying. That's what real leadership looks like, folks. And that's exactly what this country has been missing over the past 4 years. Now, here's a new development in regards to that judge that blocked President Trump from deporting these TDA gang members. It is being said that he claimed the January 6th defendants deserve harsher charges and called for new laws to punish them even more. In a shocking 2023 speech to law students, the judge who ruled over many January 6 cases openly admitted that the law wasn't harsh enough to punish these defendants in the way that he wanted, which prompted a response from the president himself. He said this, but he doesn't mind if criminals come into our country. He is a constitutional disaster. Okay, so let's just make sense of this. This district court judge blocked President Trump from deporting violent TDA gang members who are in our country illegally and committing crimes in our communities. And at the same time, he called for harsher punishments of January 6 defendants who are already locked up with a harsh punishment. Now, can you guys make sense of that? Let me know what your thoughts are about that dynamic in the comment section below. Now, if you guys are looking for an interesting opinion on this entire debate, you don't have to look any further. Here is Congressman Rand Paul and his perception about all this. Take a look.
But just, we're not talking about partisan politics. We're talking about the courts right now and what the judge said he had questions about and talks about this being done, essentially in the cover of night. This seems to be an argument the administration wants to have go to the Supreme Court. Are you comfortable with bypassing what you described as, what's guaranteed in the Bill of Rights, a day in court, or at least some verification that some of these people actually are guilty in some way of what they're accused of, which is membership in a gang?
So we have a contradiction. We basically have the Constitution that says everyone, persons in the United States, have due process rights, have the Bill of Rights on their side. But we also have law that has been in power for 200 years saying, oh, well, except for when the president wants to deport people. So these are in conflict. There will have to be some decision making. On the question of whether or not a district judge can make a ruling for the whole country, that's also a very big question. And I suspect as this works its way up to the Supreme Court, when you get to the Supreme Court, I do believe the Supreme Court is going to limit district judges from having nationwide rulings. So I think that's also in the offing. But these are huge legal questions, and the only way they begin is by a challenge. If the president doesn't challenge these, they never have standing and never get to court. So on the one hand, the president is generating this, but it's the only way to generate a final conclusion from the court.
I actually appreciate his response because it's a careful reminder that politics is one thing, but what the Constitution says is a whole nother thing. And even what the Constitution says, there may be some conflicts, some contradictions, some interpretations that one side sees it another way versus the other side. And so ultimately, that's why we have the Supreme Court. And so I'm actually grateful that President Trump is pushing the limit. In fact, I think a lot of people who are obsessed with the Constitution probably enjoys what's happening at some level because we get to have a final say on some of these issues. So why don't you guys answer this question in the comment section below? These two issues, I think, are the worst for Democrats. Do you agree? That is, these violent protests against Tesla, which are predominantly owned by liberals, and deporting TDA gang members out of this country. I think these are the two issues Democrats should stay far away from. Let me know if you agree with that assessment in the comment section below. All right, so this morning, Bernie Sanders walked out of an interview when he was asked if he believes AOC replacing Schumer is a good idea. You have to see this interview. I think it was a real disaster. He also called out the Democratic Party and some other comments that you're going to want to hear for yourself. So if you missed out on that video, more stories from earlier today, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.